Latest polling for Donald Trump has not been good. My apologies for the Daily Mail link, but I had trouble finding the video link elsewhere.
President talking tariffs and the economy. If you look at our new Fox News poll at 100 days job approval compared to other presidents, there you see the president at 44%, and you see his first term at 45% at this mark, the 100-day mark.
So what that means is, I hate how it doesn't just linger on the thumbnail. What that means is the only president in American history to have a lower polling at the 100-day mark than Trump's first term is Trump's second term.
We have
44% is still way the hell too high, but
some concerns about the economy. Let's talk about that, the politics and these polls. Fox News chief political analyst Britt Hume joins me. Britt, you've looked at these. What strikes you?
Well, a couple of things. There's a list of issues that we asked people what they felt about, and the president is underwater in all but one, and that one is the border, where he's got high approval on that.
Yep. Yeah, believe it or not, the one thing that Trump is polling highest on is immigration, because we're a disgusting and diseased country. Absolutely fucking wretched. A filthy, sick, disgusting country. Still, Trump got really mad over the Fox News approval rating, which again, like a 44% approval is still way the hell too high, but it's very low by the standards of, you know, you're still supposed to be in the honeymoon period 100 days in. Trump wrote on Truth Social, Rupert Murdoch has told me for years that he is going to get rid of his Fox News Trump-hating fake pollster, but he has never done so. This pollster has gotten me and MAGA wrong for years. Also, and while he's at it, he should start making changes at the China-loving Wall Street Journal. It sucks. Yeah, he's mad about it. Oh God, he's really mad about it. Jesus Christ. Just whining about journalists. Nothing new there necessarily. There's actually been a lot of polling coming out on Trump lately. AP Norc polling. Do we have the charts? I love the charts. Nearly half of Americans approve of Trump on immigration. 46% approve. Keep in mind that job approval is not necessarily the same as issue polling or issue approval. 84% of Republicans are in favor of Hitlerite immigration policy. 16% of Democrats. 16%. Behold, the consequences of the Biden administration completely giving up. Even today, how often do you hear about Democrats meaningfully protesting what the Trump administration is doing? They only go after the Trump administration for their objectively unlawful oversteps. Abrego Garcia or the student visas or whatever else, but not to the fundamentals. How many Democrats do you see going after the underlying claim that our country is under attack by undocumented immigrants and we need to secure the border to protect ourselves? Basically none. Seriously, basically none. But does this mean anything? Well, we don't live in a democracy, but you know, it's fun to pretend we do. About half say deportation efforts have gone too far. 6% of Democrats say not gone far enough. 15% of Democrats say been about right. Numbers are worse for independents, of course, and then Republicans are, funnily enough, 30% of Republicans still say not gone far enough. So, you know, that's great. Big wave of polling data coming out all at once to catch the 100-day wave. This is from the Pew Research Center. Trump's approval rating is 40%. That's according to them. Keep in mind that, like, approval rating versus job approval, there's a lot of variance in the terminology. But overwhelmingly, according to Pew Research, a 19-point job performance in the bucket, you know? Negative 19. Minus 20 for the tariff increases. Minus 11 for the cuts to federal departments and agencies. Well, that's nice. Most Americans say the Trump administration would need to stop inaction if a federal court says it's illegal. 19% say that Trump should not have to follow a court ruling. Folks, that's tens of millions of people. That we got to do something about this. Them numbers are a little high for my liking. tens of millions of Americans, if you reason out the numbers, you know, proportionally, just flatly think the president should be above the law and are willing to admit it without any legal pretext, without any justification, any like, oh, well, in this case, you know, actually the president's actions were lawful or whatever. No, no, no. Just flatly this. We need great leap forward type shit. 65% of Republicans say the administration would need to stop an action if a federal court ruled it illegal. So 35% of Republicans, a full third of Republicans think that he should just be above the federal judiciary. Jesus. Look at the George W. Bush post 9/11 bump right there. What do Americans like most and least about the Trump administration's actions so far? 20% like his immigration actions the most. That's great. How Trump governs, 22% the least. This to me is the really fucked up thing as well, because you know the people who are saying what they like the least, that's mostly going to be dictated by Democrats, of course, because they're the ones who don't like Trump. And their biggest issue with Trump isn't the Hitlerite immigration policy. It's his governmental style. Like the Democrats have dropped the ball. Well, I guess dropping the ball would imply it was a mistake. They have spiked the ball into the ground so fucking hard on the on like polarizing people against anti-immigrant sentiment. It is insane. Insane. I don't know. It's pretty blackpilling. Got distracted for a moment there as I was sort of like staring into oblivion. My apologies. About 4 in 10 Americans say Trump's policies are putting the U.S. in a stronger position internationally. We are never again living in a shared reality. We will never again in our life will we be able to have a moment where both sides across the aisle are like, yeah, that was bad. It's never going to happen again. It would not in our lifetimes. Maybe if we're lucky, our great grandchildren, assuming we have them and they survive, they'll be able to experience that moment. But I don't know. From the New York Times, voters see Trump's use of power as overreaching, Times Siena poll finds. Percent of voters who said the following words describe Donald Trump's second term in office well. 66% said chaotic. 59% said scary. 42% said exciting. You know, credit to the New York Times researchers here. This is a better encapsulation of the Americanoid mind than asking people how they feel about the economy. Because we're a stupid, primitive people that judges based on instinct and emotional. When Fukuyama, wait, is it Fukuyama or am I mixing his name up with somebody else? When he said that American hegemony would be undone when people grew bored, he was really cooking with that one. He was really cooking with that. When he was like, we will have everything and then we will get bored and ruin it. Facts, yeah. Of course, we didn't actually have everything. We had everything in the sense that America had everything, but the average person in America didn't have everything. You know, that'd be like saying the average Spanish peasant circa 1702 had everything because their king was wealthy. Well, folks, the king's not sharing. Trump's approval rating sits at 42%. His standing is historically low for a president this early in a term, but it is in line with his stubborn unpopularity, which did not prevent him from sweeping the battleground states this last year's election. Imagine being a Democrat and losing to that. Imagine losing to somebody who hovers at like 40% job approval permanently, and then you lose to him every swing state. Incredible. Losing twice? Yeah, losing twice. Actually, there was a succession war in Spain in the year 1702. I'm sorry, I was just pulling a random year out of my hat. I'm not that familiar with Spanish history. I'm but a stupid, lazy, fat, ugly Americanoid. My apologies. I am but an Amerifat. The neurons firing up here are slowed because they have to transmit the little electrical signal across these big fatbergs that sit in the folds. Yeah, there's corn syrup that's sort of like pooled everywhere. Overall, a 54% majority said Mr. Trump was exceeding the powers available to him, including 16% of Republicans and 62% of independent voters. Can I take a guess at something that's probably not verifiable? I bet you that if you went back to Nazi Germany in 1934 and you ask the average supporter of Hitler, like, hey, do you think that Hitler is exceeding the powers given to him? I feel like even Nazi supporters would say, yes, but it's a good thing, right? Like they would say he's tearing down the corrupt Weimar order. Well, they probably wouldn't say corrupt, they'd say Jewish, but you know what I mean. It is crazy to me that we're basically 50-50 split on whether he is exceeding the powers available to him when it is the most objectively, factually verifiable thing imaginable. He is selling Trump 2028 merchandise and saying he's going to run for a third term. It's not. Wouldn't that be worse though? No, I feel like it's better when they acknowledged what they're doing. It's crazy that we live in an environment where there's so much information polarization that you can't even fucking talk to Republicans. You can't even talk with them. They have no idea what is going on at all. Not the stuff that's in their favor, not the stuff that's against them. If Trump was doing something good, they wouldn't know what it was. They don't know how to argue the points in favor for them or against them. They don't know what's going on. They have a very childlike narrative. And it seems like nothing can break them out of it. It's insane. They can't even make like affirmative arguments for the things that they believe in that are politically advantageous for their side. Like, God, at least when they're open about it, you can say like, okay, so you acknowledge he's exceeding. We live in a shared reality in the sense that we know he's exceeding these bounds. Now let's talk about that. Douglas Williams, 56, a cattle rancher and banker in rural Missouri. Cattle rancher and banker. Jesus. In rural Missouri, who voted for Mr. Trump in each of the last 3 elections, still supports much of his agenda, but he worries the president. Yeah, fucking villain of the Grapes of Wrath over here. But he worries that the president is pushing the envelope with some of his executive orders. Now, do I agree with the goal? Do I agree with the result? Probably, Mr. Williams said. But I am constitutionalist enough to be at least a little bit concerned about how far we push that. See, this to me is like the scary cope. Like they think that they have limits rather than acknowledging that they don't. Isn't that like a little scarier? Like all of these Trump supporters are like, yeah, we understand he's going a bit far, but don't worry. We're carefully monitoring the situation because, you know, we don't want it to get out of hand, but like we're keeping an eye on it. But so far, so good. But don't worry, like I have principles. They just haven't been flagged yet. I would be against this if he did the thing that he's already done 100 times. But I'm watching out for it. And if he ever does that thing that he's done, then I'll be concerned. I trust them more than the people who have abandoned their democratic principles completely. I disagree, flatly. I would rather a country full of Steve Bannons than this. At least Steve Bannon types, you can just talk with them flatly. They'll open their positions. They'll straightforwardly defend them. They'll lie, but at least they'll lie in a coherent way. Steve Bannon lies in a coherent way. These people are politically unpersons. Politically, they are unpersons. They are like a thoughtless gray mass following the MAGA movement. They have no independent will or inertia. They can't even be engaged with, man. They are apolitical people. No, I didn't say they were apolitical. They're political unpersons. Their inertia can be counted on. I wouldn't try talking with them. Like any cult, man. Cults don't teach their adherents to like rationally debate in favor of the cult. They teach their adherents to not listen to people from outside the cult. Republicans like this only think about policy when it upsets the libs. They operate purely off spite. Yeah, that's what they've been trained to do. They have like no real positions. Are you fucking kidding me? This guy's calling himself a constitutionalist. Are you kidding? Is this a joke? Is this a fucking joke? Are you fucking kidding me? Are you insane? You imagine like walking around in 1938 and like the SS officer is like, listen, I consider myself a humanitarian. And I do think sometimes that Adolf Hitler engages in behaviors that might be of concern to people who value human rights. But largely, I agree with the outcomes that have been arrived at so far. And I'm keeping an eye on the situation. What? So you're saying the actual Nazis were less of a cult than the MAGA movement? No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that I think that in certain ways, there's less of a shared reality here. The MAGA coalition is so incoherent that there's no shared reality to even discuss these things, you know? I don't know. Type shit. Sometimes you have to break the rules, said Michael Craig, 63, a retired Republican from outside Germantown Hills, Illinois. Net minus 12% approval, but the thing that he has the most support for is immigration. Because unlike all of these other issues, there are a more substantial block of Democrats and independents who support what he's doing on immigration. Yet somehow, on Kilmar Abrego Garcia, we have minus 21 points. Though it seems like that's largely because of fewer people approving of it rather than more people disapproving. Van Halen's actions did work. Yeah, and I support it. I think it's good that he did that. But we're dealing with like a bigger problem here. 61% of voters, including 33% of Republicans, said a president should not be able to impose tariffs without authorization from Congress. Yeah, but they're lying. They don't actually believe that. If they believed that, they wouldn't be doing what they're doing. 54%, including 26% of Republicans, said a president should not be able to eliminate programs enacted by Congress. Except they're lying. They don't believe that. 63%, including 40% of Republicans, said a president should not be able to deport legal immigrants who have protested Israel. But they don't believe that. You could talk to any one of those Republicans, any one of them, and you'd be like, hey, under Trump, ICE has begun deporting legal immigrants who have protested Israel. And those 40% would be like, well, I don't think that's happening. Or they'd be like, well, I'd have to look into it, but I'm sure it'll get resolved. Okay, well, it's been a few months now, and it seems like they're just doing that. Like, that's just a thing they want to do. Also, the administration has explicitly stated that they will remove you if they consider you a threat to America's national interest by criticizing Israel, regardless of your immigration status, even if you committed no crime. And then they'll be like, well, yeah, I guess that's bad. I'm still glad I voted for Trump, though, because of, like, the hype moments in Aura or something type shit. Like, literally. There's no point. 56% of Republicans said a president should not be able to send American citizens to prison in El Salvador, as Mr. Trump has threatened to do. Okay, if 56% of Republicans said that, why are there no political consequences to Trump just saying on Air Force One, flatly, just openly, yeah, we want to send American citizens to El Salvador? And then, when meeting with Bukele, saying it again to the cameras directly, and also in a hot mic prior where he told Bukele to open more prisons so he can send American citizens there. Any consequences? Any at all? Any? One of the most troubling numbers for Mr. Trump is the share of voters who believe his policies have hurt them personally. Voters are more than twice as likely to say his policies have hurt them than helped them. This is a reversal from last fall. That's great. Trust in Mr. Trump and the economy was a key ingredient in his 2024 victory. A Times Siena poll 1 year ago showed that 64% of voters fondly remembered how he handled the economy as president. That's great, man. Vosh, I'm not sure what you mean. Haven't there been tons of town halls, even in deep red districts, where they get shouted down? Yeah, but often the people shouting them down aren't like hardline Republicans, right? They might not be hardline Democrats, but they're not necessarily hardline Republicans. Also, a lot of hardline Republicans hate Republicans, but not Trump. They think that Trump is a different entity. The unique exceptionalization of Trump that Democrats constantly participate in gives them rhetorical like leeway, essentially, where every time a bad thing happens because of Trump, it gets blamed on the Republicans, but Trump remains infallible himself. We got to do something about this, man. Like, look at this. Adam Schechter, 46, a tech specialist in Springfield, Virginia, who voted for Trump last year, said he supported much of the president's agenda, but was concerned about the, quote, very messy way he was going about it. A chainsaw, as you might say. The way it's all haphazardly handled has not been something I generally approve of. He was uneasy, too, about the consolidation of federal power in the executive branch. I didn't like it under Biden. I really don't like it under Trump. I support the president's policies. I'm just concerned about literally everything that he's doing. What do I support about him? The real reason is usually that they're racist. I fucking hate these people, man. I hate them so much. At least modern day neo-Nazis are straightforward about the extent to which they support a thing or why they support it. I can't stand this. You realize like we're effectively dealing with like the death of politics as a concept, right? What are you supposed to do about a country with this blob? cult followers with no discernible opinions who can't be budged on any issue. It doesn't matter how many lines are crossed. Jesus Christ, the Democrats are bad enough, but at least the Democrats can have their minds changed. Democrats will often wildly whiplash their approval of different politicians, different policies, different candidates based on new information they receive. Nothing is shaking these guys. The overpresence of information and the right-wing echo chamber has made people legitimately less intelligent than they were as illiterate peasants. At least like illiterate peasants, if a famine happened, would be like, damn, a famine's happening. And then if somebody said like, yeah, it's because the king said that we should burn all of the grain that grew towards the northwest because that's the devil's direction, and then we ran out of food, the farmer could be like, that was fucking dumb and now we're going to starve to death. I'm mad about this. But not Trump supporters. It literally doesn't fucking matter what happens, man. It doesn't happen. It doesn't matter what happens. They have been enchambered. They have been entombed within a media environment that has insulated them from any contrary worldview. They can't move on. Actual peasant mentality. I think the peasants were probably on average smarter. I'm not kidding. The average peasant might not have known as much about why gravity worked or whatever, or why things fell down, and they might have thought that there was a end to the earth, like it was flat. I don't know, probably not. Maybe some of them did. It's largely agreed upon. People figured that out thousands of years ago, but whatever. I genuinely think that on matters of like basic recognition of the facts of reality, the average modern day Trump supporter is beneath them. This implies we know why gravity works. It's like the time and space are like it's like a particle wavelength, and when things have mass, it pulls the fabric and the things move towards the dense and I don't know. It's like a balloon. It's like magnets, kind of.